Okay. All right. Apparently, I need to hire a really good tech team because this is the second event I've done with, technical difficulties. But we have a whole lot of bits and pieces to coordinate. My name is Heather Schulte. I am an artist here in Denver, and I just want to welcome everyone here at the People's Building and also who are joining us online. And I am here to introduce our lovely Lieutenant Governor, Dianne Primavera. And I'm going to read just a little about her. Dianne Primavera is currently serving her second term as Colorado's 50th Lieutenant Governor, where she leads efforts to make healthcare more affordable and accessible. She oversees 6 key programs: the Office of Saving People Money on Healthcare, the Office of eHealth Innovation, Disability Policy, the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs, Serve Colorado, and Aerospace and Defense. A lifelong Coloradan, Lieutenant Governor Primavera served in the state legislature for 8 years, representing Broomfield, Superior, and parts of Erie and Westminster. In addition, she served as the CEO of Susan G. Komen, Colorado. Throughout her career, Lieutenant Governor Primavera has been a tireless advocate for expanding healthcare access, improving disability policy, and ensuring quality cancer screenings and treatment for all Coloradans. Known for her collaborative spirit, she has built a reputation for passing bipartisan legislation that delivers real results. Her passion for helping others continues to shape a healthier, more inclusive future for Colorado. And we thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you.
And I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. As she said, I'm Lieutenant Governor Dianne Primavera. And first, I want to extend my sincere thanks to Heather and her colleagues for organizing this really powerful art exhibition. Your dedication to raising awareness and about long COVID and to supporting those who are living with its impacts is truly commendable. I also want to thank the artists and individuals affected by long COVID, and I've had a chance to talk to several tonight. Thank you for sharing your artwork and your stories. Your courage, creativity, and advocacy shine through every piece on display. You're helping Colorado understand not only the medical reality of long COVID, but also its human impact on families and communities. Events like this one play a vital role in educating the public, patients, and healthcare providers about a condition that continues to affect tens of thousands of Coloradans. Your presence here tonight and the stories you will take back to your families, friends, and communities helps build the awareness that is so critical for both prevention and care. These efforts reflect the resilience and bravery of those living with long COVID and the dedication of the healthcare providers who've cared for patients from the earliest days of the pandemic. Long COVID remains an evolving health issue, and many of you have transformed your lived experience into knowledge that supports clinicians, strengthens our collective understanding, and ensures that others do not face this journey alone. So tonight, we recognize your leadership and your commitment to helping Colorado build a more informed and compassionate response to this condition. Since November 2022, my office has been examining the health and socioeconomic impacts of long COVID and developing a framework to address them. We've engaged partners across the state, including healthcare providers, patient groups, and researchers, policymakers, and academic institutions to better understand the challenges people face and to identify solutions. So I personally want to thank Dr. Mirwais Bahij over here, my senior advisor on long COVID, for championing Colorado's efforts to understand and address long COVID. Dr. Bahij has done amazing work. Colorado is fortunate to have exceptional clinicians, researchers, public health leaders, epidemiologists, patients, and advocates who are advancing our understanding of long COVID. These contributions have positioned Colorado as the leader in this work. We're also proud to have multidisciplinary long COVID clinics at CU Anschutz, National Jewish Health, UC Health, Family Health West, plus important work led at Children's Hospital Colorado and other primary care providers. These teams are setting a high standard for comprehensive whole person care. I also want to highlight the Colorado Long COVID community of practice, where clinicians with diverse expertise collaborate to improve care and advance best practices. Through partnerships with the Colorado School of Public Health and the Department of Public Health and Environment and my office, we are strengthening surveillance systems to better understand the burden of long COVID, identify disproportionately impacted communities, and inform policy decisions. Because long COVID has shifted from an acute illness to a chronic condition, my team is assessing its impact on disability, on daily functioning, employment, and educational attainment. We're working with the Department of Labor and Employment to understand its effects on the workplace and with employers to promote more inclusive workplaces that support individuals with chronic conditions and their caregivers. We've also begun partnering with education stakeholders to understand how long COVID affects students, their academic success, and to ensure schools and families have the information they need to help their kids with long COVID succeed in their personal and professional lives. Emerging research is also shedding light on the broader health impacts of COVID-19. For example, recent studies suggest a possible link between respiratory viral infections, such as COVID-19, and the recurrence of metastasis of certain cancers after remission, along with higher mortality among cancer survivors who became infected. While this emerging evidence requires further study, it underscores the importance of infection prevention and routine screening for cancer survivors. As an individual myself who's been diagnosed with cancer on 4 occasions, I'm deeply interested in this line of research and look forward to working with clinicians, researchers, and community partners to advance our understanding and identify ways to help protect survivors, including staying up to date on COVID-19 and influenza vaccinations. So as we move forward, our approach remains a whole of society effort. We'll continue collaborating with partners across sectors to deepen our understanding of long COVID, expand public awareness, and strengthen access to high quality, equitable care and public benefits for all who are affected. Prevention also remains essential, including staying current on vaccinations, improving indoor air quality, and taking steps to avoid infection and reinfection. And finally, I want to once again thank everyone who helped organize this exhibition and all of you who are here tonight. Your efforts help bring long COVID out of the shadows, foster understanding, reduce stigma, encourage prevention, and inspire meaningful action to support Coloradoans living with this condition. Together, we'll continue building a healthier, more informed, and more compassionate Colorado. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, enjoy a restful and joyful time with your loved ones, and we look forward to another productive year of meaningful work together on this issue. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We appreciate it. If I can ask our panelists to come up, and I think we're just going to sit. If you need a shorter chair, we'll just sit over here if that's okay. Yeah. Huh? You want me to speak it? Yeah. You want to go ahead and go first? Is that okay? Sure. First up, we have Michaela Martinez, who's going to tell us a little about her journey with long COVID.
Thank you. Have you ever felt like your own body betrayed you? Like the simplest task, breathing, walking, or speaking to suddenly become a challenge that you can't overcome? That was my reality on January 10th, 2022, when my life changed in ways I never imagined. My name is Michaela Martinez, and like many of you, I've never expected COVID to change my life and leave such a lasting mark on me. Today, I share my story not because it's easy, but because I believe our experiences bring hope, strength, and healing to one another. It started with shortness of breath, a symptom I thought I could manage as somebody with asthma. But within days, I couldn't dress myself, shower, or walk to the bathroom without gasping for air. As a mother of 2 energetic boys, it was heartbreaking. I prepared for the worst, making sure my family knew where all of my important documents were, while lying helplessly on the living room floor. When I finally went to the ER, I hoped for help. Instead, I was met with an exhausted, burnt out healthcare system. I was told COVID sucks and you're an asthmatic. I'm not sure what you expect coming here. Those words crushed me. Later, my primary care doctor dismissed my symptoms as anxiety. I felt defeated, alone, and even questioned my own reality. Long COVID didn't just affect my body, it shook my identity. I grieved the loss of being a mom who could chase her kids, host birthday parties, volunteer at their school. I've missed cuddling them when they're sick, dancing and singing with them. I've questioned my faith and my strength, but through it all, my husband stood by me, caring for our family, advocating for me, and never letting me feel like a burden. He taught my children how to care, be compassionate, and recognize when mom isn't well, a skill I thought my kids would never have to learn so young, but something that they'll be able to carry with them throughout life. Eventually, I found compassionate providers and treatment that helped. Physical therapy helped me with pacing and energy conservation. My asthma specialist was the one who never gave up on me. And I finally found a doctor who was engaged, willing to listen, research, and collaborate with me in my care. And when I felt like I had no purpose, I created one, founding the Long COVID Information, Discussion, and Support Group. This community reminded me that even in pain, we can create something beautiful. This journey has taught me that asking for help is not weakness, it's strength. It taught me that gratitude can coexist with grief. And it taught me that when supporting someone who is struggling, don't just ask, what can I do to help? Offer something specific, like, can I bring a meal, go grocery shopping for you, clean the house, or provide a ride? When I focused on what I could do, like reading bedtime stories using YouTube, playing board games instead of sports, riding an electric scooter instead of a bike, I found joy again. Positivity doesn't erase pain, but it makes us, but it gives us courage to keep moving forward. Long COVID has changed our lives, but it does not define us. We are warriors, adapting, persevering, and finding joy in new ways. My greatest advice is this: focus on what we can do and not what you can't do. Practice gratitude, lean on each other, and never lose hope. Thank you to Heather for organizing such an incredible event that shines light on our journeys and raises awareness to long COVID. And thank you to the author who illustrated my story through their artwork. I especially appreciate the emphasis they put on my family support, because that has truly been a key part of my healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. We're so glad to have you here with us. And I understand if you need to take off, so feel free to go at any time. No one will be offended. Okay, and next we're gonna hear from Anna Keisha.
Hi, my name is Anna Keisha Shiplet. Sorry, I am an emotional speaker. And there's something about coming in this place that brings back a lot of memories of how difficult and hard the last 5.5 years have been. And being able to relate to these stories in these art forms, it just really touches my heart, because I know what they have gone through and are going through is hard and difficult, and that it doesn't just affect you, it affects your family, it affects your friends, it affects everything in your life, and it changes you. And sometimes it's hard to see the good in that. But for me, I have been able to find that. And my story started at the beginning of COVID in 2020. And really, it's only been the last 6 months I have been able to feel very close to myself again. And I feel like it's surreal, like it's almost like a dream. I didn't ever expect to get to this place again, where I could enjoy running with my kids and doing the things that I love. And I'm very grateful for that. My artwork is the painted dress project that's over in the corner there, and it was my therapy outlet. I found that art was the way that I was able to cope through the very difficult times that I had, the times that I couldn't get out of bed, the times that I couldn't move, the times that I thought that there was nothing worth living for. But I found joy in the most unexpected places, and I found beauty in the most unexpected ways. And I'm very grateful to Heather for putting this on for us and for all of you who have come to show support and to encourage each other. And
Aisha. And I should mention right now, I'm going to do a quick little walkthrough when we're done with all the speakers so you can see the artwork. It's also available on our website, which is scattered around the social media. It's stitchingthesituation.org. And there's a full gallery of all of the work along with the full stories of each person. So next up, we have Sally.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Sally Hartshorn, and first a huge thanks to the Lieutenant Governor, to Heather, to Mirois. I'm going to talk in a little bit about how important it is to have public events like this and why it's important. But first I'm going to talk about my story and then about some dreams I have, what I hope to see happens with a long COVID situation. So before I got COVID in February 2023, I hiked 3 times a week in the mountains, way up high, was in great shape. I'm retired. I was taking Spanish lessons. I was doing art. I was taking music lessons. And, I just was one of these kind of almost hyperactive people. In February 2023, I was standing by my side door. I'll never forget it. And all of a sudden I buckled. I had pain so bad in my legs. I saw lightning bolts, and it was COVID. I was quite sick for 3 weeks. I was very, very sick. And my doctors were like, I've never seen anything like this. And I have a great PCP. And I'm like, thanks a lot. That's really not helping. And I slowly got somewhat better. But the leg discomfort never went away. I did a retreat. It was a retreat in nature about trauma and somatic healing. And I like to talk about that because it initially got me over the hump with some of my symptoms, like the really bad fatigue. And it's a practice where you someone helps you look at your body and relax where it's tense. Anyway, it was profoundly helpful. It did not take away my long COVID, but it made the symptoms much easier. And I was doing well that summer, and then in September, I just crashed. I got this extreme brain fatigue. I got body fatigue. By 5 p.m., I was ready to go to bed. I dropped everything, all my hobbies. And I think because I'm a nurse and I've worked in clinical research, and I was just like, I am going to look at every form of research I can and figure out where there might be some good information. And it turns out there's a lot of bad information out there. And I did learn about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which I did, it will be 2 years ago in February. And I have been basically symptom free from my long COVID symptoms. It was 80 hours of treatment over 2 months. So here I am. When I got better, I looked at myself and I'm like, I'm a nurse. By nature, I'm kind of an entrepreneurial person, and I've had long COVID. So I kind of wanted to really do something to help people who still suffered. And that takes me to my next point is it's real when you have long COVID, everybody has different symptoms, but there are a few things I think that are really common. And one is, it's so hard to explain, but you lose your sense of, I just want to say oomph. You just like, you think, oh, that'd be a great thing to do. And then you go, well, I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I don't have the bandwidth to think that far in advance. I don't have the bandwidth to put all the pieces together. You can think about, things that might be great to do, but you got to stand up and do it, or you got to make a plan about it, and you can't. I personally believe that part of the challenge with long COVID, I think our senses get significantly diminished in a subtle way, and it makes it harder for us to interpret the environment, but that's my own philosophy. So anyway, which brings me to, oh, and the other thing is I wanted to point out, I went to my cardiologist and to a neurologist to find out what was wrong with my legs. And, they were like, no, you're fine. And I had to figure out myself, I had long COVID. It's not even a diagnosis in my medical chart, although it is in the notes. I had nobody to talk with. I knew one person who had severe long COVID. She was a friend of mine. I didn't know anybody else. So I had to learn going on the internet through social media. And I was like, this is no pamphlet, no 800 number. Like if you have cancer, if you have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, there's a whole web of resources that do not exist. That's on my wish list. So that brings me to why these exhibits are so important. I did put together a national art exhibit in Loveland, where I'm from, where there are artists from all over the country who had long COVID, and they did their story through their artwork, and they wrote their story by that. And we had a great medical panel. And I later found out that at least 2 people that were there figured out they had long COVID and their doctors had not listened to them. Also, when you have long COVID, you do feel like nobody's listened to you. And doing an exhibit like this gives somebody with long COVID a great forum to tell their story. And it also gives people who suffer from long COVID to say, I am not the only one. And hopefully it will create more community. So I'm not going to talk long, but my wish list for long COVID is I would like to see both kind of like an emotional support group because they're so isolated, but also some sort of, I'd love to see insurance companies pay for some somatic healing for people with long COVID. Like I say, it doesn't take the symptoms away, but it helps with the nervous reactions that we get to our symptoms. It can really help with those a lot. I would like to see emails, like monthly or every other month, emails sent to people with long COVID that talk about the research that's out there, what's worth investigating, what's not, and written in a way that's simple, because when you have long COVID, reading long things is really tiring. And also you want to share it with your caregiver. I would like to see an educational pamphlet in every doctor's office about long COVID. And I would like to see all of the medical field, all the primary care physicians to get some sort of training in long COVID and what it is and how to figure out if your patient has it or not. And what probably everybody here knows, but maybe not everybody else knows, is that there's no way to diagnose somebody with long COVID, and the symptoms are all different with everybody. I mean, there are some people who have the same symptoms, but there's a wide variety. And there is no approved treatment plan. So it's very confusing for the medical community as well. Who had the physical therapist that helped? Was it you or you, Michaela? When I got long COVID, I have all these orthopedic problems, and I was like, oh, I'm going to a physical therapist. They'll be able to help me. I tell the physical therapist, and I had long COVID. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And that was it. So we have a long way to go with that. I don't know exactly how it would happen. We have multiple different medical communities here in Colorado, and I know the lieutenant governor is working to really get people, the different communities, to cross communicate so they can share information and whatnot. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming. This is terrific. And thank you again for putting this together.
So we do have a few panelists joining us online. I'm gonna slide this. Oh, are you gonna do it from there? Where you just the speaker that we have is not functioning, so we're gonna try to use my computer audio, which is not very loud for a space this big. So if you guys want to come in and get a little cozy, we can. What's that? Oh, let's see. Beth, are you ready to speak?
I can. Can you hear me okay? I don't know if you can hear me. Hi. Hello. Do you want to come over and climb up? Hi, I'm going to keep talking until I think you can hear me. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone. Here, I'm going to move your arm. Um, I'm Beth Meyer. I want to start by sending an apology to Sally because we were connected over the summer by Heather. At the same time, I was diagnosed with midstem brain damage and a traumatic brain injury as a result of my long COVID from my infection that started in April 2020, April Fool's Day. And I lost the plot, Sally. So I would love to connect with you because we're basically neighbors, and it would be really nice to get to know you better. Yeah, so I'm Beth Meyer. I'm a 48-year-old mom of 4. I live in Fort Collins. Lieutenant Governor, I was in one of your reports, and I really appreciate the work that you've been doing. And I just want to say thanks to everyone there. And Heather, you are incredible. I won't take a ton of time, but this is my 8-year-old son, Ellis. And he's with me because he's actually featured in my portion of the exhibit. I have a podcast called A Friend for the Long Haul that I started on my 4th COVID anniversary, and my 6th will be next year. But I started it because so many of us are so isolated still, and we don't have I have a lot of friends who've been through divorces, who have family members who don't believe their illness, who have been ostracized, who are bedbound, who, it runs the whole gamut. And what I wanted was an opportunity every once in a while for folks to be able to listen to someone who sounded like a friend. And it's like they're dropping in at my couch or hanging out at the dining table and we're just shooting the breeze. They're not talked at. And the thing that makes me happiest is I have a lot of people say they actually respond to the episodes. But what I've managed to build since April 1st, 2024 is an anthology of over 40 episodes of people's stories that can't be erased or diminished. And I'm so proud of them. And I'm so proud to be able to have these conversations, especially since I now know I have brain damage. And it's really wrecked my life. I'm the person who couldn't eat for a year because of mast cell activation. I couldn't drink water at one point. I went into anaphylaxis multiple times a day. I have a cold right now, and that's why I'm not there. And this guy asked me if he needed to call 911 for me yesterday because of what he's seen. Half his life I've been dealing with this, over half. But my part of the podcast was transcripts from conversations. One is a holiday episode from last year where Ellis and I talked about what it's like to have a chronically ill or disabled parent at Christmas time because there's so much guilt and there's so much shame about you not being able to be the parent you thought you were going to be. Oh, I love you. And he basically told me I'm being way too hard on myself and he just wants to cuddle anyway. But I'm just really grateful for these stories to be able to be told. And if you want to listen to my podcast, it's on every platform you can think of. And I pull in, I've had doctors, I have Dr. Petrino from Mount Sinai. Right now, I have an episode out with Dr. Julia Vogel. She's leading a trial for using GLP-1s with scripts with people with long COVID to see how that helps. But the newest episode features one Heather Schulte that is out now and is all about this show. So just really grateful, and I appreciate everything you're all doing, and I appreciate the awareness that you're raising.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Sorry, with the audio, we don't want that. Okay, Sally wanted to say something real quick.
Well, I just wanted to say to Michaela, maybe you should share what you're doing with you do have a support group in Northern Colorado. So I didn't mean to
I can't drive.
ignore that. So maybe you should just tell people about it.
And we do have a whole resource wall up on the wall over here with everyone who's here represented, and the links to all of them are also on the website forever.
So the long COVID information discussion and support group was created by myself and Dr. Matthew Light in Northern Colorado. We offer a hybrid platform. So we do have people in Loveland who show up in person, and then we have a Teams link for anybody who wants to join on a virtual platform. We start the first hour with an informational discussion. It's credible information related to research on long COVID. A lot of the presentations are done by Matthew Light, but we also pull in other physicians. We've had a dietitian, we've had a physical therapist. So anybody who's willing to come talk to our group about what they're doing in the long COVID community and what they've seen help or not help. We do talk about things that don't help, because that's nice to know also. It's good to know that research is whether it's worth trying to invest your time or money into something. And then the second half is set aside for us to break into groups and talk as a long COVID community with each other. And a lot of those discussions turn into like, hey, have you tried this? Does that work for you? Where is that resource at? How do you buy it? And then our most recent project that we're starting up is a mentorship, where the people who are in the long COVID information and discussion support group can connect outside. So we're going to collect their information, who's interested in it, and we're going to start pairing them together to have some more interactions outside of the group. Thanks, Sally, for asking for more.
One of the reasons I love living in Colorado is we have some amazing health resources here, and have for a very long time. Okay, so what was I going to say? Oh, with Beth's podcast that she just dropped, we did a video walkthrough of the exhibition for that as well. So we kind of talked about a little bit about what went behind the exhibition, where it came from, who we worked with, all that kind of stuff too. And if Teague is ready, then we can go ahead and go on to our next speaker. Just give us a second.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Awesome. I'm Teague McDaniel, they, them, or he, him. I'm a Colorado-based artist and grew up here as well. I'm a curator and professor. And in 2019, in November, my life fell apart in an interpersonal violence-related divorce. I could not take my child to childcare. I could not go into my office, and my whole world shut down. So I went into lockdown 5 months before, and everybody else came with me in March of 2020. And it was a very, very bizarre, surreal, traumatic time. And I didn't get COVID for over a year. And when I did, unsurprisingly, some of my underlying chronic illnesses and disabilities worsened. There were, a lot of profound health impacts afterwards. And that's happened each time that I've gotten COVID. But what I was really excited about Heather's work was the chance for people to tell stories. What I didn't realize was how much of my story I hadn't played through, cried through, worked through, and felt through. So I stopped and avoided making work for a long time. I went into the studio and began making work. And what came out was so messy and so fuzzy, and there were bits of wool and packs of little 5-cent rainbow erasers and just medical supplies. And it was a chaotic mess. But I was able to feel through the death of several family members, that divorce, the trauma on my kiddos, the impact of health, how all of these systems are intertwining, seeing those on a systematic level, and then also knowing how other people in marginalized identities or multiple intersectioning marginalized identities are impacted further. And so I'm re-entering the world with most of my ability to kind of think and speak in a linear way, get up and feel okay most days. And I'm hearing things like, oh yeah, post-COVID, or I'm going to a concert with, multiple masks and all of these other precautions. And I'm seeing that I'm the only one there with a mask. And it makes me so curious who is in the room, who is not in the room, who is having these conversations, who is not, who is able to mask, right? Some people can't always, some people can, some people choose not to. So I just became very interested in starting to tell this story in a way that was more curious about how we're interacting with each other from a perspective of interbeing, like a hive, like a nest, like a pollinators coming and going from flower to flower, and thinking about our interconnectedness. And so when I actually made the piece that I showed, I made it in collaboration with an incredible artist, Venture Mers, who I will not speak in behalf of, but it was a profoundly beautiful experience to be able to collaborate with him and hear his stories and also process mine. And so with the piece that we made together, at least in my portion, which is to take a mask off of this beautifully decorated sort of totem, meditative totem, called Sitting With It, sort of like a Buddhist pun, if you will. It's almost a Buddhist joke. I'm really interested in people taking that mask off and taking it with them and having a moment of joy, of grief, of sorrow, a contemplation, of curiosity, right? Because we're still experiencing impacts of COVID, and it's still impacting people that are potentially already marginalized, folks who are incarcerated, folks who are houseless and homeless, folks that don't have the necessary ability to mask because of deafness, other underlying chronic conditions. Like myself, I'm unable to homeschool my kids because of an abuse dynamic and the way the court system is set up. And so my kids are ultimately exposed to hundreds of people all of the time. Like I cannot isolate. I teach in person in a public institution. I have to go to work. And so I I cannot, even if it affects me badly, stay home. And so just that thought of being curious about what we can do to support each other and show up to hopefully reduce the amount of future infections, and knowing that it is life changing and devastating for some still and ongoing. So thank you for this opportunity, Heather. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for allowing my wandering night, single solo parenting with pets and kids night brain. And I'm 40 seconds over, so I will let the next person speak. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Teague. It's such a pleasure to have you as a studio mate as well. I think our last speaker is Kateri, who is here to talk online about the experience of being a caregiver of Nalani, who is has some poems here in the gallery space. If Kateri, if you're ready to go, is she there?
All right, so I'm a crier too. So so my daughter Nolani, she's 25 years old. She has been bedbound for 20 months now. She basically woke up with long COVID in May of 2023. Just she never had any actual COVID symptoms. She woke up with COVID and long COVID symptoms where she had the tremors and horrible brain fog, horrible fatigue, and could barely walk. And we, luckily, her old pediatrician said, "Why don't you test her for COVID?" He said, I think that's what it is." And sure enough, she did test positive for COVID. So we were able to know that that is what was going on. Second, I just lost. Did I? Oh no. Shoot. No.
We can still hear you.
Oh, you can still hear me. Okay. My okay, as long as you can you okay. And so she we went to her physician and told him, we said, you know, we believe she has long COVID, but it is, you know, it hasn't been long enough, but this is what's going on. And he basically said, I haven't seen long COVID in 2 years. She doesn't have long COVID. And that was like the beginning of the of kind of the gaslighting. But from there, we, you know, went to all the different doctors to try to make sure that there wasn't something else happening. And but that is it. And we have not found anything besides working on her nervous system and working on basically brain retraining and processing old emotions and trying to get to a point where her autonomic nervous system is not going haywire anymore. And my husband and I are, you know, he retired this year, and we're basically full-time caregivers, and trying to figure out what our lives look like going forward, and the whole idea that there is no known end. We don't know if in 6 months she could get better, or if it would be or it could be, you know, 6 years. And so trying to figure out how to plan and everything in this moment in life is really it's hard. And it's hard for friends to know how to support us. And I think that probably all you who have experienced long COVID, the question of how are you doing is such an incredibly loaded question. And I try to tell people, we'll let you know when she's doing better. But I really love that that Heather has given Milani this opportunity to share her voice and to share the humanity of a really, really difficult disease. And yeah, that's it. But thank you so much for giving everybody this opportunity, and it's wonderful to hear other stories. And we're just supporting her and hoping every day that we will get her out of bed, and one day she'll be able to help others and be a support for others as she recovers from this disease, this illness.
Thanks so much for joining us, Kateri. I really appreciate it. Please give our love to Nalani. Do we have anyone else online that is to speak, or did we get to everybody? I think that was it. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask before I do a quick little gallery tour? Any of our panelists here or online? If you're online, you can put it in the Q&A little box thing. Anybody? No pressure. There was a lot said, so.
I did hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Yeah, the question was, what was the therapy that Sally did? And it was hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which unfortunately a lot of insurances do not cover.
And there are different types. So if someone's looking to do, so if someone's looking to do hyperbaric oxygen therapy, there are these research studies out of Israel that I found that talked about it. But you need to make sure you're going to, I want to say, the highest end. That's not quite the right term, but that they have 100% oxygen infusing, and it needs to be a hardcover shell with one person only. Otherwise, you need to do about 80 hours in there over time. So you need to be careful who you go to if you're going to explore that venue. And unfortunately, you have to pay for it out of pocket.
Okay, well, thank you everyone who came. Thank you to the Insight Fund whose grant they're a regranting institution of the Andy Warhol Foundation through Redline Contemporary Art Center here in Denver, and they made this exhibition possible. One of the really wonderful things that they were able to partner us with is Impact Arts, which they had an exhibition at Redline this fall that featured incarcerated artists that have worked with Impact Arts and some other local organizations to create artwork while they've been incarcerated, and then they exhibit it elsewhere. So some of the illustrations that are here in this exhibition were made by 5 incarcerated artists that are incarcerated here in Colorado in various facilities. And those illustrations will be made into patterns, which will be part of our overall project, which is, this exhibition is just an extra, not extra, it's important. It's, I just keep making more work for myself is what I'll say. I can't stop. But they will be incorporated into our overall project, which is documenting COVID more generally in an expansive way and utilizing the database that Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Data Center has available freely online. And yeah, so that is ongoing. Anyone can participate. We're still taking stories to illustrate. So if any of you out there, anyone who's watching this now or in the future would like to join in, stitchingthesituation.org is the website where you can read all about it. Hopefully we're going to be getting a overhaul pretty quick here because it's like a tree that's falling over with all the extra pages I keep adding. Thank you all. Thank you to the People's Building and Aaron Vega for working with us and making this space available. And with that, I am going to call our discussion panel to a close, and then I will walk through the exhibition with my iPad so you guys can get a quick little view. We do have snacks. I know this is a masked event, so your discretion. Thank you all.